All right, class, today we're going to do Unit 8, Section 5, and we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations by graphing. Okay, so the solution for solving quadratic equations are your zeros of the quadratic equation, the points at which crosses the x-axis. All right, so the quadratic function is your y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Your quadratic equation is 0 equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? So let's look at this. All right, so we have x squared equals 4. First step we need to do is we need to get this in the quadratic equation form where we need 0 on one side. So what we can do is we can subtract x squared from both sides. So now we have it in our quadratic equation form. Okay, so 0 equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So a equals -1, b equals 0, and c equals 4. Okay, so we need to find our x coordinate. Remember, x is -b over 2a. All right, so this is the opposite of b. Well, b is 0 over 2 times a. This is going to give us 0. So that's our axis of symmetry, and that's our x coordinate. Now to find y, we need to substitute 0 in for x. So I have -0 squared plus 4, which equals 4. So my vertex is going to be at 0, 4. We can go ahead and graph that. 0, 4. Okay. My a is negative, so upward or downward. It's going to be downward. Okay. My c is +4, so we shifted it from the parent function, which starts here at the origin, we shifted it up. So it should look something like this. So now what we need to do is we need to come up with some more points. And I'll just go right here. Okay. So our vertex is 0, 4. I'm going to put that right here in the middle. Let me change a different color here. All right, so what we need is we need 2 points to the left and 2 points to the right. Okay? So to the left of 0 on the number line is -1 and then -2. To the right is 1 and 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute -2 in for x. So I have negative, or the opposite of -2 squared plus 4. Well, -2 squared is +4. The opposite of that is -4. -4 plus 4 is 0. Now we're going to do the same for -1. -1 squared is +1. Opposite of 1 is -1. Plus 4 is 3. And then we're going to substitute in 1. It's going to give me 3. And substitute in 2, which is going to give me 0. Now, guys, the reason why these, like for 1 and -1, your y-coordinate is the same, because when you square root, or when you take the square of a negative number, you're going to get a positive. And when you take the square of a positive number, you're going to get a positive. So they're always going to be the same. So -2 and 2 are opposites, so your y-coordinates are going to be the same. Okay? So, we set our solution is where it crosses the x-axis. Well, when y is 0, it's going to be on the x-axis. So right there is our solution. So let's go up here and graph this. So we have -2, 0. We have -1, 3. We have 0, 4. It's already up there. That's our vertex. We have 1, 3. And we have 2, 0. So there's our parabola. And right here is our solution. So our solution is -2 and 2. We have two solutions there. Remember, with your zeros, you can have 2, 1, or 0 as your solution. So we found our x-coordinate, we found our y, we found our vertex. We did our xy chart to find 4 more points so that we could graph it. And when your y-coordinate is 0, that's our solution where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, let's do another one. I'm going to need to erase this. Okay, so we already have 0 isolated on one side of that equation. So what we can do on this one is go ahead and identify what our A is. Our A is 2, our B is 0, and our C is -2. Okay, so let's find our x-coordinate. Again, B is 0. So that's our axis of symmetry. Let's find our y-coordinate by substituting 0 into our equation. So it's 2 times 0 squared minus 2. So y equals -2. Now, when we graph this, A is positive, so it should be upward, okay? And our vertex is at 0, -2, right here. Okay, C is -2, so our parent function starts at the origin at 0, 0, so we knew it was going to be a shift down right here. All right, so let's do our t-chart. So we have 0, -2. Again, when we go to the left of 0 on the number line, -1, -2. To the right, 1 and 2. So let's substitute -2 in. So you have 2 times -2 squared minus 2. Well, -2 squared is +4. +4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. So we can say down here that this 2 is going to be 6, but let's check. 2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6. Now let's substitute -1 in because we don't have our solution yet. We don't have a y-coordinate at 0 yet. So let's substitute a -1. -1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So there's one of our solutions. This one should be 0 also. So here's our solution. Now let's go up here and graph it. So we have -2, 6. We have -1, 0, +1, 0, +2, 6. So our solution on this one is -1 and +1. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so we need to get this in our quadratic equation form, and we need this to be 0. So let's subtract 4 from both sides. So we have -x squared minus 4x minus 4 equals 0. A is a -1, B is a -4, and C is a -4. Okay? This is going to tell us that the parabola is going to be downward. This is going to tell us that it's going to be a shift from the parent function at 0 at -4. So let's see if our vertex is somewhere with the -4, with y being -4, okay? All right, so let's find our x-coordinate. So it's negative b over 2a. Opposite of negative 4 is 4. So that's 4 over negative 2, which is negative 2. Y is going to be opposite of negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 minus 4. So we have negative 2 squared, which is 4. Opposite is negative 4 minus 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8. So let's add 8 minus 4. So let's see, what is this? Negative 4 plus 8 is positive 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So our vertex is at 0, negative 2. 0, negative 2. Oh, that's wrong, guys. I'm like, how can that be right? Let me write this out so I don't make that error again. It's negative 2, 0. Negative 2, 0. Okay? All right, so our A is negative, so it's going to be downward. All right? I know we're going to have something right here still. Not for sure. What's going to be yet? And we had a shift. All right, so let's go ahead and find our other points. Let's do our XY chart. So our vertex is negative 2, 0. Okay? And we know this is one of our solutions because y is 0. Now, to go to the left of the number line, we need negative 3, negative 4. To go to the right, negative 1 and 0. So let's substitute in. So we have negative 1 times negative 4 squared minus 4 times negative 4 minus 4, and you get negative 4. Then I have negative 1 times negative 3 squared minus 4 times negative 3 minus 4, and you get negative 1. Okay, so this one should be negative 1, but let's double check. Negative 1 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 4. 1 times a negative 1, negative 1, plus 4, positive 4, minus 4. It's going to give me, negative 1 is a positive 1 times a negative 1 is negative 1. Plus 4 is going to give me 3, minus 4 is going to give me a negative 1. And then this one should be negative 4, but let's see. And it does. All right, so it looks like on this graph we only have one solution. So let's go up here and graph it. So we have negative 4, negative 4. Negative 3, negative 1. Negative 1, negative 1. And then 0, 4. So there we go. All right, guys, I'm going to need to stop this one. Let me write the solution real quick. The solution of this one, there's just one. So the solution is negative 2. And then I'll have to do a part 2. See you in just a second.